We'll move on to approval of minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at them, and any questions, comments?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Motion's approved, minutes approved. Old business, there really wasn't any at this point. New business, we'll move right on to election of chair and vice chair. I guess due to the, what is it, the bylaws or? Bylaws. We couldn't do a half a year or something, so we have to start it out in the new year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I would like to be the chair for a full year. So I'll throw my name in the hat for being the chair again.
I make a motion, we nominate Bill Burns for chairmanship for another year.
Okay.
Second.
Third, fourth.
We go around with a vote, or anybody else want to try it? No takers. Okay. Motion's approved, or what do we go from here?
Should probably vote on that.
Do a vote?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, we got to vote on it.
Yeah. All in favor? Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
No? Motion passed. Let's go to the vice chair.
I'll nominate myself again to be vice chair for the year.
This vice chair. I like the nominee, so I'll second that. Anybody else? Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you call for additional nominations?
Let's try for any additional nominations for the vice chair.
No.
Nobody at this time. We've done the voting. We're good there. So I'd say it's official. It's on TV. We're good to go. Congratulations.
Status quo.
Thank you. So let's move on to the business retention, expansion, and attraction program scope of work with Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So this is an item that was an identified need, even going back to when I was interviewing for this job, was brought up as something to get out there, and it's important to the city with, understanding the businesses that are operating in the city, understanding what their needs are and what programs we have at the city versus other county or state ones, and how we might be able to help with that. Or if, a business is looking at expanding, getting a sense of that early so we can assist with that. And as well as, being a better understanding the business climate so we can attract other businesses in the future. So one of the things that been working on is how do we go about this, and looking at the comp plan as guidance too. That's always the first source we have. And the Oakdale comp plan identifies the need to provide business and labor with the support necessary to be successful and ensure continued employment opportunities for all residents. And that's listed as a goal within the economic development chapter. And it does call out certain things such as supports the success of business and labor by connecting the resources at DEED, other state and county and federal agencies, administering a program to attract new businesses to Oakdale. So that is right there in the, the adopted comprehensive plan. Minister a program, retain, assist in the expansion of Oakdale businesses in there as well. And then in partnership with public and private stakeholders, support those wishing to start a new business. So, and that's really the guidance that we're working from in this proposal. What we would like to do is establish a business retention, expansion, and attraction program, often called a BRE&A for short, for a very long program to help to achieve those goals. The proposed scope of work would include the following activities. So thinking for the first year, doing roughly 24 visits, which is, roughly, it's 2 a month, which is, pretty sizable commitment. And then, years after, we could continue this program and do, more in that 10 type of range for visits. And part of the work with going out there is you want to have a series of questions that you're asking that are consistent, so that we can track progress over time and have good, analytical analytics as part of it as well. So that's something that we would be wanting to have done as part of this too, and making sure that we basically have a packet of information, whether that's city programs that can be out there, whether that's county, state, would be critical, so that we're not just coming there, empty-handed. And we have a clear outcome from that meeting. The next key thing is recruitment of BRE&A participation pool. So, who would go on these visits? I mean, there's some that might have a few more, but we try not to. You don't want to overwhelm with too many people, but you do want to have the right people in the room. I would be there as the community development director. Chris Volker, city administrator, could be there as a substitute as well for that. And then this would be one where we'd be asking a commitment of mayor and council as well, that either the mayor or a council member would attend a visit. And then as part of that pool too, we'd be looking for possibly one, maybe two, depending on which, for visiting Forefront versus visiting a sandwich shop, it's going to be a different scale. But looking for Economic Development Commission participation, as well as Oakdale Chamber participation in that pool. So not everybody's going to be at every meeting, but a pool of people that are briefed on what we're ahead of time, that we can kind of draw on when we're scheduling these to get them going. Other things that we'll need to do is identify who we want to contact that first year. Do we want to look for some of the key big employers in the city? Are there certain sectors that we want to focus on that maybe have been harder hit by COVID, or are there minority-owned businesses that that could be another focus? So that'll be something that I want to work out as well. So we are looking also for administrative support. It's quite a bit of work to schedule these visits, put together the agendas, put together the packets of information, attend the meetings, and taking good notes, and then the follow-ups needed, because it's the worst thing we can do is go and we hear a couple little things like that could be done that could help to improve that relationship with the city, and then we don't do them, or we don't follow up to make sure it was done. So having good notes is pretty key to that that coordination. And then also looking for how do we compile all this information and basically put that into when the visits are done, a report, so we know we have an understanding of the questions that we're asking, the type of feedback that we got. We have a good cross-section of some of the business input and the issues that are facing them. We can track the follow-ups and things that are needed. And then that sets it up so if you were to continue this for the following year and keep it going, you have records to compare against, and when the last time you visited. So if this may seem like a lot of work to be done, it is. And we, even with my time and when we bring on a community development specialist, we wouldn't have enough staff resources in-house to do this. So what we're looking at doing is partnering with the Oakdale Area Chamber of Commerce and the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce to assist with the work. And I think this is going to be a really good marriage, if you could say, but I guess there's 3 parties, so that doesn't really work for it. It's late in the day. Anyways, so what Oakdale Chamber really knows the community and the key businesses within there, and a lot of them are already chamber members, so there's a good synergy there. And then St. Paul Chamber does this as part of their professional services part, where they do similar visits out in, I know Maplewood is the one I've worked with in the past at Ramsey County, where they have the structure and the template already put together. They can do the reporting and kind of the admin parts of this, but also bring in some of those more regional analytics as part of this and data and trends. So we're going to work, so our plan is we're going to work through with both the Oakdale Chamber and the St. Paul to kind of form a partnership on this. And we would bring that to council at a workshop. I think we're targeting February 22nd. So really for tonight's meeting, I wanted to bring that up to everyone's attention, and then I'd happy to take any feedback on that proposed scope of work if there's something that we're missing, should focus on. We definitely, and interest too, and is that something that the EDC would want to be, potentially sit in on a couple of the visits? I know for sure we'd come back at, and present on the findings of those visits too, so you're kept well informed. But I'll shut up right now and kind of take any feedback.
Anyone?
So who are you talking about going to on these visits? Us, the EDC, or city people, or who?
Yeah, so it'd be a staff person from the city, and it would be ideally an elected official, and then somebody representing business.
Okay.
So I think that could be an EDC member, or that could be one of our partners at the Oakdale Chamber. Either one. So we just wouldn't want to have, everyone go on these, but we also know that schedules are tough and not everybody's available. So having a nice pool of people to go from would be helpful.
So you do have people at your end lined up to do this, correct?
So it'd be on the staff side, it would be me.
Okay.
And then we'd be working with the chambers for sort of admin support and scheduling support and all those parts of it.
Okay.
I see it where, it's not realistic for one of the business retention visits to have everybody from the EDC there. It will overwhelm the people.
Yeah.
But I think it's a separate thing to go to the potential field visits, like going to the forefront, like we had talked. I think it'd be a great deal for everybody from the EDC to get the tour of that place. Or I know in the past, there's like Park Tool, which is a large employer and manufacturer here in town. I don't think most of the EDC has got a tour of that. I'm just throwing that out there. Nobody's contacted them, so. But there's other businesses in town that I think the EDC would love to do a tour and not the business retention end of it. But those are two separate items. But it still takes someone to make the phone call to get the contact to do all that.
I would bet that Forefront would be happy to have us there. They've been so community-oriented. I'm sure that they'd have us, do a field trip through there at our convenience or their convenience. So if you want to give them a shot, don't you think, Bill?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's already in the works.
Yeah, and Commissioner, Mr. Chair, that's our next item on the agenda is to talk through tours, and I'll leak information and say, yeah, we can get that one set up. I've already kind of got that one rolling.
Yeah.
So is this a effort that you're just getting off the ground?
Yes, so this would be new. I look back in our files, and there was an effort in like 2017 that started visits and then just flared out, and there's even earlier ones than that. So I that's where I want to come to this from a partnership standpoint, both from having the resources in place to put this together and keep it something that's sustainable, that doesn't just fade away, and then having the chambers and the business people partnering with them to do the visits, I think adds a lot more credibility to when you're out there to have both, if you have both business rep and somebody from the city, from the elected official level, it can help with the credibility that you're talking to people that either, have influence or care.
How'd you come up with 24 businesses? Is that just kind of a shot in the dark on this one and see how it goes after the first round or so and then adjust from there? Or is there a reason for 24?
It's kind of where it's a comfort level, and this could change. I don't think we could do any more than that. I think we're going to engage with council too and just see, are they willing to, that's 24 meetings that we'd have to have them participate in, but we did model it after, like, Maplewood in their program, they go back every year, and I want to say they do 10 or 15, but since it's the first year, you might want to do more to just get a bigger base, and then the following year, you might have some follow-ups with a few of them, and then a few new ones. So I'd imagine it at 24 this year at the max, and then, maybe 10, 12 the following years if we continue forward with it.
What do you see as an end result of an engagement like this? A set of recommendations, creating new opportunities, discovering something we didn't know before, like this economic condition exists, something we can do something about, these are things we can't do about? I mean, what do you expect to be the result?
Yeah, I think those are all great. I mean, those are all great examples. In addition to that, I think the relationship part too, just understanding, like, putting a face to, who represents the city, that's important, and who they know to call. If they're thinking of, like, do I want to buy a, new building out in Wisconsin, or do I want to expand in Oakdale, knowing that they've got someone to call for that, or, like, there's a program out there, they heard about a grant, who's the right person to kind of contact on that, to know what resources are available to them.
I would just think that just the presence of showing up that would at least help businesses know that the city's here, they're thinking about us, they're supporting us. Just presence alone, I think, is valuable.
Yeah. Along with that, you've got the private industry of the chamber. They alone do ribbon cuttings and that, but they also include the city every time that we have a ribbon cutting, because you want the city there to say, hey, we're behind your business. And this is just another step to it. Okay, you've got your business established. You've been here a year, 2 years. Let's stop out and see how things are going. Is there anything we can help with?
I think it's a great proposal. I mean, I think when I joined the EDC, I kind of had this idea, well, we must be doing something for retention, or we must be involved with that. And I think this is, it sounds like there wasn't an active plan, but I think this is a great proposal for a lot of those reasons. And I think what we learned last time is, I think a city gets a reputation, and if you get the reputation as, yeah, the city does pay attention to who's there, and they're easy to work with, and we know Andy is a good guy, and I think and starting to gather data, like I said, for the analytics that might drive future plans. So yeah, and I for one would be interested in attending some of those.
I also would be interested in attending those. One point the speaker made in the presentation that we had last week, that he felt the most effective economic development commissions that he had seen is when the commissioners did have some engagement with the community. I'm not going to speak for everybody to go out there and participate in these meetings, but I also would like to do some of this too, to actually get a finger on the pulse of what is going on with the businesses that we have here, and see what, if there's things that we can do to assist them.
One of the things that I'm wondering about is really the deliverance of the results. Because, excuse me, I'm an HR professional for my for my job, but it's just kind of like employee engagement surveys, where you send them out to employees, and then you take the notes, and then what is the action? So that is my largest concern, is really that follow through. And I'm not saying there's a history of lack of follow through or any of that, but really just the follow through of how to continue that engagement going forward.
I have a question for you too. You said you were modeling this after the city of Maplewood. What type of data did they gather, and what did they do with the results of their analytics there? Do you have any of that?
Yeah, so they do produce the report that basically summarizes the type of input and from year to year, and they're tracking, who they talked to, what the feedback was. I worked for the county, so I'm one step removed. I'm not exactly sure how their community development department uses that information, but it's something we could, certainly look into. And I think it really is a valid point. I mean, if you do it all and you have the good show and then you know, go away, there's no point in doing it. So that could be something too, we just work into this scope as well.
And I guess to kind of further on that point, rather than just publish the data, but like an action plan, is there going to be a continuous action plan that's going to, you know, at least some initiatives? So say, you know, we start in 2022 with the visits, so what is that going to produce for 2023 for the action plan?
Anything else on this part of it? Do you want to transition now into the field visits, or?
Sure. Sure, and at the last special meeting, it was mentioned that the EDC wanting to kind of get out there and see some of these projects and some of these businesses that are out there and get a better understanding of, you know, what they're doing and making some of those, you know, personal connections. And also if we can help promote in any way, if the EDC can help promote in any way, what the good things going on in the city, great opportunities. So I looked at the notes from last time and I jotted down, you know, 3 of them that came to mind. One was home furniture, which is still under construction. They haven't opened yet, but maybe there's an opportunity to get sort of a sneak preview type of tour out there. The other one was the Forefront Business Campus, which is just really cool how they're, you know, what they've done with those 4 buildings and with the shared resources, with the cafeteria and other print shop and other things, and would be a great one to tour. And I talked with their manager over there, Michael Larson, on just some other things and brought this up, and he said, yeah, you know, we'd be happy to do it. So I think that's one we could definitely get that going, you know, sooner. That's kind of an indoor one too. Both of these are. And then the other thing was, you know, brought up was a Willowbrook welcoming event for first residents. I think the idea was, you know, when people start moving in, can we do something to kind of celebrate the first resident with a welcoming? And, you know, whether it's that concept directly or something related to that, like there's going to be I don't have the dates on it, but the Parade of Homes is coming out for the single family homes later in the year. But is there a way that the EDC can help to sort of promote, you know, promote the new neighborhood and welcome the new neighbors? So that was the other idea. I've got the contact over. We're talking, you know, like almost daily on some of these Willowbrook things. So something can bring up. But for now, I think I just wanted to get all the ones on the list here, and then maybe see like if there's a sense of who would want to participate. And I know many of you have day jobs, right? So, you know, we've got to figure that part out too. But I'll stop there. And also if there's any other ones we should look into for this upcoming year, I can jot those down as well.
Any idea when the animal hospital is going to be up and running?
I'd have to look at that sometime this year. I mean, they got the steel framing up, so that would be a cool one too to go see for sure.
Yeah, let's see, we add that one. Since you're talking to the Willowbrook people daily, do they give you any indication of when the first one moving in will be? June, July?
Yeah, so there's the Willowbrook, which is the Lennar, and that's the one that'll be the single family. So I think I don't have a date on that yet. I'd probably have to get back, but there's some road work and things that need to get done, and sewer that was supposed to get done last year that needs to get done. So we're just kind of working at that now. But I think that kind of June, July is probably about the right time frame.
Okay. Well, if you could, yeah, let us know on that. I think most of us would love to be over there for that presence.
You know, if you could maybe set something up with the forefront people, I mean, the building's there and it's warm and it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be, and I know they'll be more than happy to have us in there. They're very, very,
How many of us could do it during the day? Raise your hands if you could do it during the day.
well, it depends what day, but
Okay, you'll just
Yeah.
have no haircuts that afternoon.
okay.
I
Yeah.
think if it's planned ahead of time,
Okay.
you know, everybody's schedule is really flexible. I personally work from home, so I can just schedule meetings around things.
Sure.
And can attend during the day, and I'm sure most of us are.
That's probably
Yeah.
my situation as
Yep.
well.
Mine
Yep.
too.
Okay.
It's good to know.
I do want to be sensitive to the fact that, I mean, these are businesses, and I know we all have a curiosity and a, you know, an interest, but, I mean, there's this part of me that says, what's in it for them? You know, so I'm not sure. I think, you know, you being there, I think
Yeah.
gives some credibility and gives, you know, a connection, so I just want to be sensitive to the fact that, you know, just because there's a lot of places that, you know, we'd really like to get into, see, I mean, these places are businesses, and we'd be taking a resource from someone to at least kind of show us around.
Well, a lot of those people have people dedicated to kind of give a tour type thing, and they want to promote it to as many people in the local community, is what we're hoping. Sure. So, yeah.
Good, yeah, a good point. So I think the first one on here would be forefront, just because I think we could get that set up, you know, schedule it for a few weeks out or whenever we can get in there and,
Well, home isn't even, I mean, it's hardly off the ground, and the animal hospital, that's hardly off the
farther
ground.
out, yeah.
I'm not going out in the cold, I'm telling
No.
you.
It's gonna be warm here pretty soon.
Well, I'll wait till it gets warm, then we'll go to those places. But they're still building too, and I'm not sure they would want us trumping around.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm, you know, they got liability problems there, so.
Yep. Okay.
Are there others that we wants to throw out there?
If we think of them, we can send you an email.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about Guardian Angels? Is it an angel thing?
Well, Guardian Angels and the food shelf.
The food shelf,
I
yeah.
was going to bring that up at the,
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good.
so much for a secret. Yeah. No, is anything else on that? I would say if there's any other properties or
Yeah.
businesses,
Well-
send Andy an email.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got a good list here
Okay.
to start from.
Well, let's move on to the council liaison update. Our council member Susan Olson is here today. Welcome.
Thank you.
The floor is
Hello,
yours.
everybody. I want to apologize, first of all, for missing the last, I think, 2 meetings. It's been a rough few months for me and my family, but we're here. It's 2022, so Happy New Year. Updates. We're getting a new fire truck, which is pretty cool. Planning is underway for the Summerfest. And the parade is back by popular demand.
Are they going to do the rides and everything this year?
The rides are still up in the air.
Okay.
I would strongly say bring the rides in.
There's lots of people that want the rides back, so it's a good chance. It depends on if we can get them scheduled in time or not. Last council meeting, we had a good discussion with the county attorney, city attorney, the sheriff, county sheriff, and the chief of police regarding crime and juvenile crime. It's a good discussion, learned a lot. What I would say is that we have a good team. All of those people work really well together and they respect each other. And it's kind of amazing, actually, how friendly they are to each other. It was good meeting, informational, nothing's perfect, right? But they work very well together and they work very hard, so. Let's hope that crime gets better, that's all I can say. And it is certainly not their fault. Almost at full staff for employment. And if there's any other questions, I can't think of anything else right now, but if you have any questions, certainly I'm open.
And so, did you say that there's a community development specialist position that you're trying to hire for? Is that?
Yeah, it would be Community Development Specialist, Economic Development.
How's that
That's the-
going?
Yeah, and that would be Linnea's former
Okay.
position, so it'd be working directly with this committee.
And how's the hiring going?
It's going well, so we're interviewing for city planner, that's the other vacancy. Tomorrow, we have 6, I think, much as I can say of it, we have 6 people we're bringing in, and then want to get second interviews already next week lined up too. So we're gonna get that one wrapped up, and then sort of see what skills they have versus the community development specialist applications, and then move right on to that one. So,
Okay.
yeah, we could be full staff by, mid-March.
I heard Jim Harbaugh's in on that
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
thing. Any questions for Susan other than that?
Again, I apologize for not being here, and feel free to email me anytime if you ever do have any questions.
Okay. All right, well, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate the update.
Thank you guys for being here,
Yeah.
and Happy New Year.
Well, let's go to the commissioner updates then. We'll go around the horn. We'll start over here with Dave.
No updates for me.
No updates, thank you.
I have none either.
None for me.
I'll pass me, I'll come back to me. Bob? No?
Nothing from me.
Wow. Okay, so I've got this postcard, and it was from the Minnesota Highway Department, and it's about joining us for the Highway 120 Study Virtual Open House. And they're talking about redoing Century Avenue from 94 to 36. And I mean, and it needs it, we've talked about this on the commission for many years. Something's got to be done with it. I mean, it's old properties, and it's, the traffic is just huge on that thing. Anyway, so they had this thing, and it happens to be Wednesday, February 2nd, 5 to 7. So even as we speak, they're having the virtual meeting. Now, I'm just thinking, a virtual meeting, I mean, this is a lot of old people that are going to be involved and, want to know what's going on here, and they have a virtual meeting. I mean, half of them aren't even going to be able to, I couldn't, to be honest with you, but nobody said I was the brightest light bulb. Anyway, so, I think it's a wasted, I don't know, I shouldn't say that maybe. But anyway, I'm hoping that they have more get-togethers, in a room someplace, huh? Are you even familiar with this?
Well, from the county, you maybe have a little background. on
Yeah,
it.
Was it state from the?
So MnDOT is not doing in person unless because of the pandemic right now. So
that
that's
right?
why they're doing it, that's why they're doing it virtual.
Okay,
But we can, that's a study that we want to get plugged in on. And I've actually reached out to MnDOT to maybe get somebody to come here to talk about, there's the East Metro interchange project, which is basically the whole 694, 94, 494. Have them come and talk on that topic, and we could have them maybe talk on 120 study as well at possibly even the March meeting. I actually asked them about this meeting, and they said they had to do that open house, so
sure.
they couldn't come here.
so you could set it up then, have them come here and talk to us?
Yeah, I was reaching out on the other study, so maybe we can, the whole 2 birds, 1 stone, get MnDOT in and have them talk. I do know that they can get permission to come to an in-person. But if not, we have Zoom now, so we could have them, it doesn't work perfectly, but we could have them Zoom in if they can't be here for their policy.
I think that's a good idea, don't you, people? I mean, that 120 is
Absolutely.
such a disaster. It's always been, I mean, for years. How many years have we talked about how that street needs to be redone and upgraded?
Well, Frank, and you've also talked many a time about, what's the properties right there by your shop
That shopping center out in front of my building, it's just,
on 120,
just awful.
across the street from Dairy Queen.
Across the street from Dairy
Everybody
Queen,
who
yeah.
doesn't know where that is. Yeah.
It's a deserted shopping center, and I mean, it's just an absolute trashed building.
There was a developer that expressed interest in that to us, so I fielded a couple phone calls from people interested in redeveloping that.
But they've been doing that for years, talking about it for years.
Yeah.
And my understanding is the people don't want to sell the properties, and they've had offers, and the man who owns it,
Oakdale Mall of old.
the man who owns it's got very deep pockets. He's a very big developer in the Twin City area, so, you know, maybe he can afford to sit on empty property.
All right, anything else, Frank?
No, that's all I have.
I was just going to give you an update on the chamber meeting, which is tomorrow at Oak Marsh. The speaker is the owner of Bluefin Bay up on the North Shore there. So it should be, I think, a really good speaker for tomorrow. And of course, the food will be amazing. So I offer the invitation out to anybody here at the council who would want to go. You're on, be my guest. It starts at 11:15, speaker comes on at around noon. So includes a meal. Other than that, Andy, looking forward to working with you on the visits, the retention visits, and getting everybody out for the field visits. I think it'd be really a good thing to do for the city. We'll be all right. I don't have anything else. With that, make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Hey.
Do we have this?
No?
Yes, I still have the community development
There
department
we go.
update.
See, it pays to read. Back it up. Community Development Department updates.
Yeah, and did you want to
Sorry,
talk,
Andy.
did you want to talk about the food
Oh,
shelf?
okay. So the Christian Cupboard Emergency Food Shelf, which is located here in Oakdale, is doing an amazing job. I mean, and then they also have the location in northern Oakdale that will serve 250 families in a day. That's the demand that's out there. So what they're also going to do is they're going to open up another style of market at the Oakdale Main Center here by the church, Guardian Angel. And they haven't come down with a date as of yesterday as far as when the ribbon cutting, when all that will happen. But when it does, I'd love to have everybody here come to it and just get a visit of that. That'd be another tour, but we don't need to have it actually located through here. But it's just to be aware that the city of Oakdale is home to one of the best food shelves in the state. It's just, can't say enough about it. So that's my plug for that.
All right, we'll move into the community development department update. So what I want to do tonight was just a spotlight on one of the projects that's working its way through planning commission process, and then just highlight some of the other projects that are out there in the mix. I know at the last meeting, I did a much more, in-depth kind of on each project. And then talk about two ordinances that are also working our way through the process as well. So the first project is the Impact Apartments proposal, and this is near the Helmo and 4th Street, so the PUD that was previously approved by council, that was based off the bus rapid transit oriented development plan that was done around the Helmo station. It's also where the new Bielenberg-Helmo Bridge will be built that allows for bus lane traffic, a bike and ped facility, as well as auto traffic. So it's really gonna, was set up, this development and the PUD, that, the station being the catalyst and the infrastructure improvements being the catalyst, and we're really starting to see that happen. Cornerstone, Bethesda development has its approvals. That's up in that parcel, a yellow parcel that looks like a tornado there in the upper left. And then this proposal is where it says R5, and I'm gonna zoom in a second. This is the R5 site, which is directly across from the station. And the developer builder, Norhart, they also own the parcel to the south, the R6. What they're planning on doing is using that for some temporary parking, with the idea that when that pad site develops, that parking will then get integrated into the building. And they're actually talking about potentially connecting these two buildings by a underground tunnel that would need to get more review by the city. So we're not at approval on that one yet, but generally what the building does is there's like three levels of parking, I believe two below, one above. But let me see if I got the stats on this. Yeah, here we go. So it's a 7-story building. They are requesting a PUD amendment. Right now, the height max is 6 stories. And the 7 stories it's a partial floor where they're gonna have a rooftop pool and other amenities for the residents. This also has the main building's got a 0-foot setback from the street, which helps to create that urban footprint and setting. And I think I may have skipped over this because this is pretty critical here. Ground floor on this, where it's showing the yellow and the red, that is a ground floor restaurant space. And the yellow is additional potential retail and, like a small office type space. And then, there'd be the building amenities too. But if you're thinking about uses across from a transit station, restaurants, coffee shops, things that are kind of these 18 hours, activate the area, this is really ideal. It does increase density, so they're proposing 594 units, and the entire PUD was guided for 550 units. So we're doing more work, and that's kind of where we're at with this is, you get more units than you plan. Well, what's the big thing to think about? Well, traffic's probably the biggest one. There is traffic studies done by the Gold Line project as part of the PUD, but we're working on that to update that to make sure that we can make the traffic all work and with the new bridge and everything.
Is this rental, this is a rental property, correct?
My understanding is it's rental. Yeah. And I think it's gonna be more on the high end of rental. They're thinking of that the R5 site, the one to the south, would be more of a moderate. And they've mentioned affordable, but we would have to work with them on that too, to make sure what they mean by affordable, because people have different interpretations of that. But it does get a lot of, if you're gonna have higher density, this is really the place for it, that site directly across from the transit station. Let's see. Oh, and here's a view of what this is basically looking east to the front of the building, and you can kind of see where that activated the transit station and the activated street front with the restaurant there, and then I think they have their rooftop infinity pool or whatever that is that they're designing up there. So this is kind of a pretty amenity-rich stuff that you're mostly seeing like in St. Paul and in Minneapolis, and you don't necessarily think that this is going to work out here, but if you start thinking about frequent BRT service that can get you downtown, get you into Woodbury, the proximity, this is what the market is showing that there's demand for. This is another view. This is looking south to the building, and that's a stormwater pond that would be built as part of the overall development. So this went to, and actually before the January 6th, this went to a concept plan review back in December with City Council, and they expressed some of the similar concerns about just the traffic and need to do a traffic study. We didn't get that really until a couple of weeks ago, so this item was tabled at the Planning Commission on the 6th. The developer came and gave a presentation. I stole some of their slides for here tonight. We've got the noise analysis because it's close to 94. The noise generated from that is above the city standard, so they're actually going to need a variance for that. The inside the units themselves wouldn't need that, but the balcony area and that shared space, because the ambient noise is above the threshold, we're going to have to add that to it as well. But that's something that Oakdale, we may not have as much experience in, but a lot of other cities have developed closer to the freeways or high volume arterials and work through that. And then we're just figuring out some of the phasing things too, and the traffic part. So we're gonna bring that back to Planning Commission on March 3rd which would then bring it to city council, probably the second meeting in March. Just quickly, other projects, this is kind of a big list. So one of the things that I started is a development review committee internal to the city, which is where instead of circulating plans around to all the various divisions and getting their comments and trying to figure out what to do with them, we're meeting every week. We get fire, police, building, engineering, public works, planning to review applications come in. And this is actually the agenda for today that I just kind of took out some of the more details on to just give you a sense of, what's out there in the field right now, the big things. Willowbrook mentioned that they're getting started on some of the single-family homes. There are also the multifamily homes being built by Continental. They're still pulling permits even in winter. Tartan High School expansion, that's going to be getting underway soon. Guardian Angels food shelf. I think most of the building inspection works it's in progress. It's in progress on there right now. Obviously, home furniture and the Animal Emergency and Referral Center are other projects that our inspectors are keeping busy on out in the field, even through winter. And then projects and plan review. Forefront received preliminary and final plat approval at last week's council meeting. That's for the western end of the site. They had 2 buildings that they're planning on building. They had a 2-building and a 1-building scenario. They're going to build the 1-building office warehouse on the western part of the site that faces 694. There's also a proposal for Central Park Doggy Daycare at 3115 Hadley. This is like, I don't know what the use used to be, but it's a building that's sort of on the outlot of Fleet Farm. No, not Fleet Farm. Menards. I see, I get it right. That's my stop after here. I should know that. I got to go there after this. That was tabled at the council meeting, just with some environmental concerns about the dogs and bathroom use outside and whether that's going to affect the stormwater. So we're doing some research, but I think that'll come back on next week's council meeting for
Is
approval.
it on
with
the north side
condition.
of Menards?
It would be on the
South
south.
Outside.
Where
Next to
that,
Rare-
where
Southwest.
that dark place was?
Oh, the internal, where the,
Guard Escape, I think that's what the old place was.
okay, right by the
Yeah.
tracks.
The building that's there?
Yeah.
What else? And then Willowbrook, 40th Street. So they're going to be, we're basically vacating the roadway that's out there and building a new roadway that meanders more through there with trails as part of it. And that'll be a city project, but we'll assess it back to the developers. So that's came in yesterday, and that's under review now too.
So again, it's instead of 40th, just going straight east and west.
Yeah, I think there's even
Put
a,
some S curves in them.
yeah, I think there's even a roundabout in there too, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
It'd be different environment. I mean, right now it's like a rural section. And I know that council is interested too in, long-term, can you get a pedestrian bridge over 40th Street? Connect kind of new Oakdale to, the older parts and some of the other resources like Discovery Center. So we're looking at that too. And that's part of that bike ped planning that want to kind of get going again too and get a sense of that. What else? And then Forefront, the south end of the site, they just came in for a PUD text amendment to allow all sorts of different uses, including restaurant, office, hotel, residential as part of the PUD. So another opportunity to kind of create one of those mixed-use developments at the front end of Forefront campus. We don't have any plans for that yet. They're just asking for the text piece of it. But that'll be pretty exciting, and we'll bring that back. And maybe when we tour, we can hear a little bit more about their plans for the future. And then pending things that are out there, Priority Courier is looking at doing that Performance Art Center at 55th and Hadley up by the Fleet Farm. They haven't submitted anything yet. They've got some concepts that we need to work with them a little bit as staff on how that concept would work on that specific site. And then Priority Courier, we talked to them today about their headquarter proposals. It's at the 50th Street North and 694. And they're getting ready. They're going to come in and meet with our development review committee next week but they want to get moving on that, on their headquarter building first, and then eventually add some more office warehouse uses out there. And then lastly, Cedric's Landing, which is also over by the Fleet Farm area on the north end, interested in expanding another building, and this is something that there's history on this. There's open space there from the former golf course. There's a lot of wetlands. There's fire access issues. So there's no plan in there yet, but they are talking with us about, is there potential to expand up in that area. And then lastly, Oakdale Marketplace and Oakdale Station. We have 2 residential proposals in. Both are, one is a townhome proposal, the Marketplace one, and sort of the more in the southwest corner of Oakdale Station, and then the Oakdale Marketplace is like a 150 unit proposal that's pretty dense on one of the pad sites. Great, you know, if these uses were allowed with the comp plan re-guiding last year, and there's a lot of, you know, thought we heard last time, you know, get more rooftops and you can help to support restaurant and retail. So these residential proposals could really help some of those pad sites go forward and get built out too. The one biggest problem is sewer capacity. There's only a certain amount of sewer capacity, and if you do one high-density residential project, there's not a lot left over for everything else. So we're trying to get a hold of, like, this is a learning process for me too, is like how much sewer use is really out there right now, and how much capacity do we have left, and if there isn't enough, what improvements can be made to do that, and then again, who pays for it, you know, with the idea that the development community and the people that are proposing this would have a portion of that. I mean, we have SAC fees and WAC fees, but that's not enough if you need to start enlarging pipes and things. So we're trying to get a hold of that. That'll be something to come back with, but there's definitely a lot of interest, and then, you know, and Forefront across the street in that area. So I'll stop there. That was a lot on the projects. It seems like the list just keeps growing and growing, but felt like if it's important to keep bringing these back to you all, just to get a sense of what's going on in the city, I'll keep doing that. Or if you tell me you want me to go quicker, I can go quicker too.
No, I can't believe not having a meeting without it. Right. So, having those updates. Anybody got any questions for Andy on these? Well, it's nice that there's some interest over at the Oakdale area near Target and that, so hopefully that'll keep proceeding. Of course, there's so much homework you've got to get done before that happens. Yeah. With all that, with Forefront. Okay. Any other questions at all?
I got one more slide.
Go for it.
All right, ordinances, just quickly here. Electric vehicle ordinance. We are bringing this to the Environmental Management Committee next Monday, and then Planning Commission meeting in March. And this basically, one, it'll allow electrical vehicle charging units as an accessory use within pretty much all our zoning districts. And then it's gonna create guidelines. So this is, you know, normally zoning is pretty, you know, cut and dry, but we're gonna move forward with it as guidelines for now for electric vehicle charging placement within, you know, multifamily and commercial developments. And then parking parking ratios for new developments. So at this point, it wouldn't be like a requirement, but it would say like recommendation of how many EV ready you could have. If a PUD came in, for example, we would have more discretion to ask them to comply with it. So we're working through that, and, you know, maybe there's some incentives that are worked in as opposed to requirements, but, you know, it's a lot of communities are adopting these across the country, and actually the market is starting to look for these things. So having some guidance in our books would be helpful. So I'm working, actually Shannon, in our community development specialist, is leading this up, and she'll start bringing it through the process. The other one here is temporary outdoor patio ordinance, and I'm not sure if this has come before the EDC before, but during COVID, we had a few of them pop up in the city that were permitted, basically allowing people to dine outdoors. Primarily, this came out of the pandemic, but we're seeing a need for this as, an ongoing part of some businesses' operation. This went through Planning Commission and Council to see if they want to make it a permanent program back in last year, and where it left at Council was, let's look at this as the program for the following year if there still is interest post-pandemic. So right now, we've had one business that's expressed a desire to have a temporary outdoor patio this upcoming year. And then we're going to discuss that. I believe also that's going to be on the February 8th council agenda. And our staff recommendation is if council wants to proceed with it, to do this as like a demonstration in 2022 to see, is there interest? Are there any complaints? Did it meet the satisfaction? What was the, all those sorts of things, and then can see if it's something to be permanent. And this would be done through our licensing. So just like a greenhouse that comes in, then you want a tent out there, you need to get a yearly license for that. So yeah, that's all I got. I'm happy to take any questions on ordinances or development projects or anything else on your mind, community development related, before you adjourn for the second time.
How's your job going?
It's great. I keep coming back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I will say it's like stimulating parts of the brain that have been dormant on the city planning stuff for like 10, 12 years. So that's good, right? And it's exciting. It's a great group of people to work with at City Hall, and it's been great to get to know everyone on this commission and the other commissions and council, and it's fun. I mean, it's like in 1 month, I come from the county where it take you 3 years to get to know everybody, and a couple months, and I think we'll be doing pretty good. Thank you for that, though.
Do I dare say?
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Not in favor? Okay.